Restaurants are done and they're closing, and thousands of them are going to be shut down. Now, this is one update that you need to watch until the end because this affects literally everyone here in our country, because it's another sign, another warning, another canary in the coal mine that things are not as good as they want you to believe.
Fast food chain closing their doors on more than 400 restaurants by the end of the year. A lot of folks saying, what's going on? We're talking about Burger King. They've grown in popularity around the world, but they've struggled with bankruptcies in states from two big franchises closing. So they are also not uncommon, with the CEO having a history of several hundred locations that were closing every single year. As of now, Burger King has slightly less than 7,000 U.S. locations. So basically, a lot of Burger King locations are closing. The majority of them seem to be owned by two separate companies.
Right.
But they happen to have a lot of bankruptcies, apparently, that happen within that company. So it seems like mismanagement or something.
Now, companies don't really like talking about their problems out in the open like this. That is, if they can still, keep it on the down low, right? But the problems are becoming way too big for them to even fathom how they can keep it away from the news. And these days, it feels as if one of the most important aspects of a business, especially, ones that specialize in food, doesn't even matter anymore. You know what that factor is? Location.
Starbucks in Hillcrest, located on 5th Avenue in Robinson, has been open for nearly 3 decades. But it is now set to close at the end of the month. CBS 8's Rocio de la Fe explains what's driving the closure and how the community is reacting.
News of the store closing soon has hit faithful customers hard. The store opened back in 1994 and is believed to be one of San Diego's oldest locations.
I was coming to the Starbucks since my daughter was little. It's very sad.
Bianca Porrino has lived in San Diego for over 20 years and says she visits a Starbucks location in Hillcrest regularly.
The Starbucks over here is phenomenal. This is my stop. Every time I stop by or go to other places, this is where I go.
Soon, she and others will have to find another Starbucks location for their coffee breaks. The spokesperson for the company said the location will close at the end of June.
And when I heard the news that they were closing down, I'm like, no, this is not possible. This is not happening. It's a great location.
Granted that, yes, the location used to be great, but that's past tense. And this is because homelessness has literally gotten to a point where, folks just would walk up and take food off of people's tables and leave as if nothing has even happened. Although, let's be honest here, that's not the only problem that these companies are facing. You know what I mean? And before I get to that, please drop a quick like for this video and also subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any of these crucial updates, guys. I really appreciate the love, you guys. All right, so back to your regular program. So there's two problems that has forced companies like Starbucks to close around 15,000 stores across the nation. And these are issues that most of these stores are dealing with. What are they? Their customers losing their financial capability to afford buying things that they don't generally need, and the huge issue that they're having right now with commercial real estate. How does that work? Well, let's start with the cost of keeping their doors open, all right? So companies are trying to at least get a bit of a break from their mortgages in a sense that, they're trying to negotiate a better deal, all right? So they're trying to talk to these people and readjust the terms that they're on, but since interest rates are pretty freaking high, well, talks are not really going all that well. Now, with food inflation just smashing the crap out of pricing, and it's freaking insane just how expensive that things are getting. Restaurants are now seeing their margins become smaller and smaller. It's like they need a magnifying glass just to see their margins. Now, some of you guys are probably asking, well, why don't they just raise their prices? Which brings us to the other problem of customers not being able to afford their food. You see where I'm going with this? It's a vicious cycle, and even if their landlords were to say, sure, all right, we'll give you the same lease. Restaurants, they're still going to tap out because there's an overhead to their operations.
Inflation hitting this 40-year high. Food prices for restaurants also up.
Yeah, the rising prices taking a toll on owners and chefs. KPX5's Len Ramirez spoke to a restaurant owner who walked them through everything that's gone up from French fries to meat.
Well, this skyrocketing inflation may be hitting Bay Area food lovers like a punch to the gut. Everywhere you go, your favorite restaurant, your favorite diner, they're all experiencing dramatically higher prices on some of the most popular items. And so for the restaurants, it's a dilemma how much, if at all, to raise their prices.
Dean DiVincenzi has been paying higher prices for almost everything in his kitchen.
Salmon. This has gone from about $7 a pound to $14 a pound.
He took us into Double D's Sports Grill's walk-in refrigerator where he keeps most of his fresh ingredients, including the raw hamburger for his popular burgers.
This has gone up about $1 a pound. Avocados, $45 a case. Now it's $61.50. Full case of avocados. Onion rings, French fries. This is the one that's gone up 50%, 50.
DiVincenzi also looked at his bills today, comparing prices now with what they were a year ago, and the difference shows a big hit to his bottom line.
I think we'd be lucky in the best world to make 8 to 12% profit, where before it could have been 10 to 15.
And he said he will have to raise menu prices on some items.
Our Double D's Burger, which is our signature dish, most popular sandwich we have. It was 18 and we raised it a year ago, maybe a little longer, to 19. And now we're gonna have to raise it again to 20.
It's just not going to work unless you have some of the most loyal customers who, by chance, have incredibly deep pockets. But given where we're at right now, that's not the case.
More and more people who make at least $100K a year say they're living paycheck to paycheck. And, you know, this has been a number that has been a percentage that's been ticking up, I think, since the summer. I think it was in the 30s in the summer. Now it's much higher than that in terms of percentage of people saying that. A lot of people are going to hear, you make $100,000. I don't get it. How is it possible that you can make that amount of money and still live paycheck to paycheck?
It's interesting. We see this across the board. I mean, look, almost 2/3 of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And we are seeing that really when it comes to lower and middle income Americans, those rates are staying fairly stable. Where we're seeing a lot of the increase right now is among those who are higher earning in Americans. And
well, I told you times were rough, which now leads me to talk about another giant in the retail business that's now forced to close some of their doors after a quarter of a century being in the business. Outback Steakhouse continues to close branches across the country, and they're not really letting customers know beforehand. Now, I'm not sure if this is being done on purpose, but yeah, they're just kind of closing them up. And the reasoning that they gave was exactly like what I talked about a while ago. Their lease expired and they couldn't get a better deal, so they decided it was time to go home. Customers are wondering because they usually have good foot traffic, which means that there's plenty of people coming in and going from their stores. The problem is, just like I explained a while ago, they just can't afford to make ends meet, and they're probably not going to be able to raise their prices to meet their landlord's pricing. So yeah, they weren't left with much of a choice in the matter. But there's also the concern of how they're going to be able to pay for good help, especially since they can't afford to hire staff that's going to be sticking around for very long. So this is a huge sign of things to come, folks. And I really hope that you guys have your eyes open. Now, speaking of which, have any of you noticed the quality of food in almost all of these places that you used to love has kind of gone down, but their prices have either gone up or stayed the same? Comment your favorite place down below, because I'm seeing it a lot more these days. Now, before I go, guys, I just want to thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you guys have an amazing day, and I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one.